In 1992, a man named Ted Turner, got a whole bunch of pre-wartime Warner Brothers and MGM cartoons. He stuffed them on a channel, called it Cartoon Network, and this is a brief history on it. Hello guys, Solomon26 here, and welcome to part 1 of the Cartoon Network discussion show. A whole, a whole discussion show on a brief history of Cartoon Network, going through 27 years of Cartoon Network. As the intro might have told you, I'm not sure this part of the video is being made before the intro was created, so I'm not sure if it tells you that. But it should say that a man named Ted Turner got a whole bunch of pre-wartime MGM and Warner Brothers cartoons, stuffed them all onto a channel, and then called it the Cartoon Network because he thought it was cool, and I thought it was cool, even though I wasn't even existed in 1992 anyway. But anyway, that's that stuff. Let's talk cartoons. On part 1 of this discussion show, we'll be talking about count 'em, three Cartoon Network eras. We'll be talking about Checkerboard era, Starburst era, and Powerhouse era. But we gotta begin with Checkerboard era, because if we don't, that's illegal. Anyway, Checkerboard era of Cartoon Network was basically the channel in its purest form, showing cartoons from Warner Brothers and MGM from pre-war time. It was pretty cool. Sometimes they had marathons of old cartoons like Bugs Bunny, and sometimes they had uncensored uncensored cartoons, which was actually really cool. Kids of the 90s could actually get to see what those cartoons that experience the cartoons that were banned from their eyes, so they can watch them. It's pretty cool. Later on during the checkerboard era, though, something cool started to happen. You probably already know what I'm about to talk about, so yeah. Technically in 1992, but in 1995 spawned the What a Cartoon Show, a show showcasing pilots for new cartoons to air on the Cartoon Network original series. Wait a minute, I forgot about something here. Before the What a Cartoon Show, Cartoon Network did actually have 2 original series. First, in 1993, was the Mox. First in 1993 was the Moxie Show. Technically, it wasn't a series. Technically, it was supposed to be a series. But anyway, technically it wasn't a series, but an anthology series, which aired between, which, which it was kind of like a block. They aired between episodes, which aired between different cartoons at the time. And for also in the early 90s, Cartoon Network had Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which is basically Space Ghost the Talk Show, based off the titular 19 60s question mark superhero Space Ghost. It was the base. It was basically the Space Ghost, but a late night talk show, and it was mostly for an older audience because it would play at night. So that's how you know it's for an older audience. No, Adult Swim didn't exist yet. Shut up. Okay, I was talking about the What a Cartoon Show before I forgot that those two original series already existed. So yes, the What a Cartoon Show. The What a Cartoon Show was an anthology series showing a whole bunch of pilots that could be made into a new series on Cartoon Network, and it was pretty cool. Some of those pilots actually were turned into two original series, and I talked about a few of these original series in my cartoons discussion shows. Like some of the cartoons that spawned from What a Cartoon were Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Lab, and Cow and Chicken, to name a few. And that leads us right into the era known as Starburst, the the, the transitional era between Checkerboard and Powerhouse. It was a pretty small era too. Not many people know about it, but during the mid 90s, Cartoon Network was phasing into a whole new era. And to help people get into that era and be a little used to it, Starburst was born. Or I like to call it the cartoon era sometimes. Cause in 1997, the originals the first three Cartoon Network original series got a brand new name. Cartoon Cartoons. A special name. A very special name that I really like to say because it's really fun to say. The Cartoon Cartoons in 1997 were Dexter's Lab, which came out a year prior in 1996, and Johnny Bravo and Cow and Chicken, which aired in the same year, 1997, alongside the Cow and Chicken spin-off series known as I Am Weasel. These four, and technically three, cartoons shared a block known as Cartoon Cartoons. It aired throughout the Starburst era and early Powerhouse era, showcasing different cartoons and new episodes of cartoons too. So yeah. And that's kind of about it. The Cartoon Cartoons brand was introduced in 1997 alongside the addition of the Starburst era. And the Starburst era later transitioned to the Powerhouse era, one of the most well-known eras of Cartoon Network, using music from the Powerhouse soundtrack. The Powerhouse era was mostly popular for its really cool bumpers, and came out and was introduced in 1997. The Powerhouse era actually lasted a long time, 1997 to 2004. And in 1998, one of the most popular Cartoon Network series, sometimes, the Powerpuff Girls was born in 1998, following the rebranding of the Cartoon Cartoons. And one year later, two big things happened. First, the premiere of one of the longest running and most popular Cartoon Network series, Ed, Edd and Eddy, which I've which I've talked about in the first Cartoons discussion show. If you want to hear more about cartoons, you should probably watch those. And alongside that was Mike Luanog and Courage the Cowardly Dog. Courage probably being the more popular series, but they're still both cartoons. But actually, I didn't even talk about Mike Luanog. So, I'll just give you a brief summary on what the show is about. So, Mike Luanog was about a girl who was stranded on a desert island. She came from Manhattan, and she meets two cavemen and more cavemen. Two cavemen called cavemen. Caveman? Can I call them cavemen? Islanders. Sorry, why did I call them cavemen? Islanders named Luanog, and basically they just try to survive the island. I didn't really talk. I don't think I talked about it in any of my videos, so that's just a brief summary on it. So, what we've all been waiting for, I believe, yes, in summer 1999, the Cartoons got an all-new block known as Cartoon Fridays, a Fridays block showcasing reruns and new episodes of Cartoon Network original series. I talked about Cartoon Fridays and Cartoon Weekend, which I forgot to mention here, and the cartoon discussion shows. It was basically just a block that aired new episodes and reruns of new old Cartoon Network original series and new ones to premiere. Some shows to premiere on the block were Grim and Evil, which later split apart into Grim Adventures and Evil Con Carne. Mike Luanog originally premiered on the Fridays block along with Courage and along with Courage. Ed and Eddie existed months before Cartoon Fridays. And codename Kids Next Door. So yeah, throughout 1999 and 2003, Cartoon Fridays existed. And the Powerhouse era existed. But nothing exists forever. So, in 2004, the City era was born. And I'm gonna talk about Cartoon Network City and all of the other 2000s blocks next time on part 2 of the Cartoon Network discussion show. Happy 27 years of Cartoon Network.